So honestly, I think CBR.com is probably one of the ultimate websites for show media. I think I can make that claim now. I don't know between them and Kotaku who's worse, but damn, CBR is really like fighting for that number one spot. This media company literally just put out an article by Katie Dahl, okay? And Katie Dahl writes how The Last of Us doesn't forget about periods in the apocalypse and why that is very important for the story. So according to Katie Dahl, she's literally writing an article about why periods are important in The Last of Us and how it affects the story. I mean, this is next level shilling for some of the most like simple things that I've ever seen. And it's interesting because here's the thing. Let me pull up this article so you guys can see it. The Last of Us doesn't forget about periods in the apocalypse. Episode 3 of HBO's The Last of Us shows that it cares about the small details, especially when it comes to its female characters' needs. Okay, how does Katie Dahl look? I'm curious. Not surprised at all. I'm just never surprised. I'm never fucking surprised. I'm never surprised at all. Anyway, so I understand the respect for the small details. That's great. That's fantastic. The problem is people like Katie Dahl, okay, I can't speak for her, but I'm going to assume, okay, and if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But people like Katie Dahl are the same people who will try to talk about the attention to small details and why that's very important. And I agree. Small details is very important. I look at small details all the time. But people like Katie Dahl will talk to you about small details, and they will be the same people who will try to sit you down and convince you that Abby's extremely muscular Goldberg-sized body,
you're not man enough to face me,
is completely possible in a post-apocalyptic world where people are eating less than 1,000 calories a day if they're lucky, and she has a body that literally requires 5,000 plus calories a day at the minimum in order to sustain. These are the same people that would try to convince you that that's possible, but then they want to talk about small details being important in The Last of Us and how periods are important for this. So I'm just saying, let's read this article. It says The Last of Us Season 1 delivers an unforgettable third episode thanks to Bill and Frank's interlude, showcasing their relationship over many years, which was all false, by the way. It was remarkable and heartwarming to finally see these characters adapted in a manner completely opposite to their video game counterparts. I disagree. I wish they stuck to their video game counterparts because they were more interesting and more believable in the world that we're in with this game. It says, but Joel and Ellie's side quest shows the appreciation The Last of Us has for its female characters and the struggle they must endure during the outbreak. Now, before I continue reading this article, I find it funny that you only said female, knowing how I'm pretty sure how you're going to talk, okay? I haven't read this article, but I would almost guarantee that you're going to probably mention, non-females pretending to be females in this post-apocalyptic world, because you can't just say female. If you will, you'll get canceled, Katie Dahl, and I'm sure you know that, but let's continue. It says, The Last of Us has a tricky relationship with its female characters. On the other hand, the video game and HBO's adaptation of The Last of Us perpetuate the fringing trope with the inclusion of Sarah and Tess's death. Then there's Ellie, an incredibly well-written character who is essentially as much a protagonist as Joel is. Ellie's one of the few bridges that The Last of Us hasn't burned to create reasonably polished female characters that aren't caricatured. One of the ways the series does this is by recognizing her struggle to find tampons in the apocalypse, a feat that has been previously ignored by other apocalyptic titles. I mean, seriously, like, you're looking for anything at this point. There's so much to talk about in The Last of Us, and you're choosing to talk about how important it is to showcase periods. I mean, like, come on, man. There's no way, Katie, that you can be lacking content this bad that you had to really make an entire freaking article about this. But I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. Let's keep reading. Periods aren't something every television show and movie needs to necessarily talk about. All right, good. I'm glad you put that out there. Menstruation is a natural cycle that women in some there it is. Some gender non-conforming GNCs. Now they're called GNCs? I didn't even know that was a thing. GNCs. They sound like a freaking military group. Okay. Some gender non-conforming GNC individuals experience every month. Now, it's only female. You had it right in the first place. You had it right in the beginning, but I understand. You knew it. I called it. I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm honestly pretty good. I'll pat myself on the back for that one. When not causing excruciating cramps is just another week that they have to get through. But during an apocalypse where resources are low and hygiene isn't necessarily a priority, how do women in some GNCs prepare for that time of the month? Now, I wonder, so you mentioned in a post-apocalyptic setting that hygiene is not necessarily a priority, yet somehow, some way, gender identity is a priority? Like making sure that they are able to, have people respect their pronouns and stuff is somehow a priority in a post-apocalyptic world? I really don't buy that. I don't buy that at all. Just like you saying people don't care about hygiene, I buy that. I would buy that 100%. There's no products around. People, have to go take baths in creeks and stuff, unless they happen to have a town that still has running water somehow. But yes, I would agree. Then yeah, hygiene obviously would be a big priority. So why the hell would gender identity be a big priority? They're not consistent. That's my problem. These shows are not consistent in what they're talking about. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I say they're the same people that would try to convince you Abby should be 100% possible in a post-apocalyptic world when we know it's not possible. It's just not. During an apocalypse, all that cisgender men, oh, here we go with see, you just got to give them time. You got to give them time. Once you give them time, they're going to start saying the stuff that you would expect. And some GNCs have to worry about is not getting attacked by infected. Women and other GNCs, however, have to be concerned with constant bleeding for a week and possibly more. It's the reason Ellie has a moment of celebration where she finds a rare pack of tampons in Joel's stashing hideout in episode 3, Long Time. The Last of Us takes place 20 years into the apocalypse, so of course tampons, pads, maybe even Diva cups are hard to come by. The remaining quarantine zones led by Fedra might be manufacturing some type of menstruation products, but Ellie is out in the wild now. So it's either one of the box of tampons or getting creative with whatever she can find, the alternative being a not so ideal solution. I really can't believe that she made an entire article on the periods in The Last of Us. This is crazy stuff, man. I'm really just completely shocked by now. Okay, so now she's going to talk about why The Last of Us recognizing it is so important. It says too often the logistical questions concerning periods in the apocalypse goes unanswered in this genre. The Walking Dead, for example, never talked about periods unless it had to do with pregnancy. Despite the later seasons taking place about a decade after the initial outbreak, the show's female characters never addressed how they dealt with their periods. What did they do if every store was wiped of pads and tampons? Did menstrual flow simply run its course, or did they use rags like they're in medieval times? It would have been a small detail to mention how the show's women handle that time of the month. It also would have made the idea of struggling in the apocalypse so much more realistic for women and GNCs. I can't imagine what it must feel like to be reduced to some sort of acronym by white liberal women. I just can't. You know what I mean? Because they do this all the time. People of color, POCs. Now you got gender non-conforming people, GNCs. I mean, they love assigning little pet names to their pets. That's how they feel about people. They really do. I'm telling you, like, they are not your friends. They are not your friends. The Last of Us at least acknowledges that Ellie has to think about these problems. Funny enough, her finding tampons is what Joel called a picked over store, shows how men don't have to worry about these problems. Oh, here we go with the anti-man stuff. To Joel, a box of tampons is pretty useless unless he wanted to trade it back in the QZ zone. But for Ellie, it's a solution that could last her for an entire period, maybe more, depending on how many tampons are in the box. Ellie's small side quest to find her feminine hygiene products might be the standout moment in the emotionally driven third episode, Long Time, but it makes women and GNCs feel seen in the world of oh my god. Oh my god. All it takes for a woman and a GNC to feel seen is to just throw in a couple of tampons in an episode. They reduce yo, I cannot, man. I cannot. These shill media articles are just incredible. They are incredible. They bring me more joy than watching the actual shows that they're based off of. I'm telling you, I mean that honestly, because wow, all it takes to feel seen as a woman is to just throw in some feminine hygiene products. That's it. Just in case women who are watching this video, in case you didn't know, that's all it takes for you to be represented into a show. Unfreaking believable, man. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.